Now, we knew the Dragon Quest XI demo was coming for the Switch at some point, and that point is today. Dragon Quest XI-S had its demo just released onto the eShop. This was dropped on Twitter, and everyone, of course, went and started downloading it. And I have to say, as someone who really enjoyed it on the PlayStation 4, I was a bit disappointed that it seemed to get kind of overrun when it released. It released right around when Spider-Man came out, and when that happened, I kind of figured it was going to be in trouble. And I was looking forward to this release on the Switch, Dragon Quest XI-S, hoping that it would kind of get a second wind in the West. Now, in Japan, Dragon Quest XI did well. In fact, Dragon Quest in general does well in Japan. It's always really the West that it's trying to break into even still to this day, and this is Dragon Quest 11, so that should tell you how hard of a time it's had trying to break into the Western market and become more mainstream like it is in Japan. And now, of course, we see Dragon Quest XI-S, and that's being published by Nintendo in the West. So that leads me to believe that there will be more of a push with marketing, and we've already seen that. Nintendo is even tying this in to Smash Bros, whereas if you play the demo, you'll have a spirit unlocked in Smash. So it seems like, to me anyway, everything is kind of lining up for this to possibly be a breakout for the Dragon Quest series in the West, and the Switch seems like the perfect system to help do that with how popular it's been in the West so far. But now the question is, since we can play the game finally, well, how does it stack up to what I played on the PS4, and is this going to end up being something that is worth picking up? Well, this is just the demo right now, I will say that, but what's interesting about this demo that they dropped on the eShop, it seems to be like the beginning of the game. Like, you can just download it, and you can play through what seems to be a healthy chunk of the start of the game. Now, I've been playing the demo on and off today, and it does seem like it's a lengthy demo. It's more than you would think, and according to Nintendo and Square, this will transfer over when you buy the whole game, which is over 13 gigabytes in size. So I set off and started playing it, and it is indeed the beginning of the game that I played on the PS4, and some people were concerned that there might be too much in this demo, but I will say this. The full game is very, very long. In fact, I went back just to double check my time spent on the PS4 version, and here's just a quick snapshot of the time that I spent. One playthrough. I started to get a little bit into the endgame content and then stopped when I started to hear more and more about what would be included with the Dragon Quest XI-S stuff, because it sounds like there is a lot of stuff in the Switch version that's coming out, which may have been helped along by Nintendo. But yeah, just under 70 hours. And that's just for the main game. That's not like all the extra stuff you can do. This is easily a 100-hour plus game, and there is a true ending that you can get in it if you do all the stuff and meet certain criteria and everything, something I have not done yet. So I'm excited to get back into it with the Switch version. As you can see, the Switch version looks pretty good, actually. Now, here's the thing. I was playing it docked, and I did notice it is blurrier, of course, than the Switch or the PS4 version. It's something you'd expect, as it is a lower resolution. I believe it's 900p on the PS4 base. I was playing on the PS4 Pro, but the base PS4 is 900p, whereas the Switch version is 720p, and then it's less than that even in handheld mode. But I have to say, performance-wise, it runs fine. Like, it seems so far from what I've played comparable to the PS4 version in terms of frame rate, and it is running on Unreal Engine and everything, which is a really cool look that they got out of it, by the way, with the artwork from Akira Toriyama and everything. It looks great. Like just in general, I think the art style really helps its transition over to the Switch so far in the demo. Now, it's going to be coming out next month. I'm going to pick it up when it does come out, and I'll probably do a full review of it then, just because of how much I liked the game on the PS4, and at this point, I guess how familiar I am with it. I can tell you the story didn't grab me as much, but I think the thing that I really like about Dragon Quest XI is the traditional style gameplay, straight up RPG elements, Japanese RPG elements, and that's something that I really like, and it's getting harder and harder to find nowadays with games like Final Fantasy, for example. We've seen what's happened to that franchise going into 15. Even 7 can't have a typical traditional, I will say, JRPG setup with the battle system. They have to include a bunch of stuff because that's got to be, I guess, a current is what they say. But that's why I like Dragon Quest right now, is because they don't try to get fancy with it. It's a straight up JRPG. and it has the same kind of story arc and everything you'd expect, but you do go through the world, through the game, and you get new allies and everything added in, and then you work on their kind of little side stories and issues that they have, whereas your character, who is the reincarnation of the hero, is tasked to do the big overarching thing in the game. So one big story, a bunch of little stories as you pick people up, and then of course you have it's kind of like a skill tree kind of thing set up. It's a little different, but there is a lot of stuff there with character progression, and I actually think the side stories were more interesting than the main stories. Like, there are some parts in there that actually kind of touch on some things that might be kind of emotional for some people, depending on what their life was like growing up. Not to spoil it too much, I'm kind of getting a little close, but there are some really cool moments and events in this game that I think do better with the kind of the side stories overall. But back to the game itself on the Switch, the demo has played well. I am enjoying it. I think the few takeaways I've had is in portable mode, I think it's going to do much better. This is a game that I think will be played heavily in portable mode. The one thing I was disappointed about is that they don't have the 2D mode available in the demo. That one hurt, because once I started it up, I said, going right for that 2D mode, let's do it. And once you get in there, you have the option, but it's like you can't choose it. Sorry, you got to go with the 3D mode. And that one stung a little bit, because I think that's how I'm going to play through the vast majority of this game, minus, I guess, the little bit I'm playing now. And since your progress transfers over, we're basically getting a head start on the game, just in 3D rather than 2D. I did go to the church, which is where you save. So if you're unfamiliar, when you get to the first village, go to the church and hit your map button, which I believe is Y. You can take a look. You'll see like a little circle with some green kind of dots on it. That is the church. You want to go there and save. I did notice while I was saving, there was an option to change to 2D mode. So I assume that's something we can just change to kind of on the fly, and that'll be fun. That'll be neat to kind of go back and forth and see what the events look like kind of in the 2D mode versus the 3D mode. Now, Square has been very open to doing a lot of changes for Dragon Quest XI, and so far, a lot of the stuff that's moving over seems to be they're changing up the music, which did need some work, I will admit that, and then some quality of life stuff, as well as fully voiced dialogue and everything. Like, there's a lot of stuff they're putting into it, but I did notice that there wasn't, and this is something I think the Switch version could benefit from, there's still not like a quick save option. And I know you can suspend it and like put the Switch to sleep, but I still think there's a bit of a peace of mind there to be able to quick save as like one slot. They do also have some auto saving that takes place, but to just be able to hit plus and then go to quick save, it's like a temporary slot. That way, if you are, of course, out playing portably with your Switch and you're not able to get to a save spot, that would, I think, be a better option. Just have a quick save slot that gets overwritten every time you do it. It's a temporary thing. Now, there are spells you will learn as you go through that basically evacuate your character and your party from places and put you down in like save spots and everything, whether it's if you're in a dungeon or if you're out in the fields and everything, and it'll place you next to a statue or a church and you can save that way. But it does also make it so you have to go right back. You have to go back to where you were, and that's kind of annoying. Again, a quick save option I think would be a great idea here, Square, and I think that's something you could probably add in. I believe the 3DS version, that's still stuck in Japan, but I believe the 3DS version has a quick save option. That's because it's a portable system, and well, here we are now, the Switch, portable system as well as a home console, so that I think would be a cool option to have. But I have to say, outside of just some of the graphical differences, I think this is the version to get. I think if they all came out at the same time, let's say they even localized the 3DS version. They're like, here's the 3DS version, here's the PS4 version, here's the Switch version, here's the differences between them at this point, which the Switch version seems to vastly outmatch the other two when it comes to content in general. Yeah, I think the Switch version is the one to go with. I think if they all came out and they all even had the same content, I would still probably go with the Switch version just because of the versatility of it. And yes, you are sacrificing some on the visual side, but for the most part, it's an RPG. And they did keep the text, seemingly anyway, because it's very easy to read on my my monitor or on handheld mode. They kept the text at a reasonable resolution. It seems almost like it's separate, and then size, Fire Emblem. So far so good. There seems to be a lot of work put into this port, and I'm picking it up physically. I'm going to grab it, and I'm going to play all the way back through it, and then do the end game stuff, and probably end up dropping about 100 hours into it, but it'll be I think a bit easier, considering it is also portable, so it'll be a little easier to kind of be around the house and pick up and play kind of thing. I think that's just JRPGs in general just go better that way, and this is a slower traditional style, so this is it. I would go download the demo, get a head start on it. In this, even see if you like it, because you might not like it. Let's be honest. Not everyone likes every single RPG/game that comes out, and this might not be for you. But I think it's worth a look, because I think it's one of the better JRPGs we've had this entire generation. But let me know what you guys think about the demo down below if you've already tried it. I am curious to hear your thoughts on it. Make sure you guys like the video if you enjoyed it, dislike it if not, and I'll see you guys next time.